Here's your reminder that fat phobia is rooted in racism.
Have you given any consideration whatsoever to the flat earth movement?
I think that's a troll situation.
Oh, it's not. Watch YouTube videos which go on uninterrupted and spew out a bunch of fake facts very eloquently and articulately. And they really believe. These people really believe.
I mean, if it works for them, sure.
Saying that anyone who believes in equality, whether you call them feminists, call them whatever you want to call them, should basically give up because it ain't gonna happen.
Only if they're aiming at equality of outcome.
So you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
It's not only fine, it's eminently desirable for everyone, for individuals and for society.
But still women aren't gonna make it possible. So the simple question is, do you believe in equal pay?
Well, I made the argument there. It's like it depends on
So
who
you don't
defines
believe
it.
in equal pay?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
In my last video, I talked about polarization and how about we should strive to have conversations with each other instead of being a toddler who only knows the words racist, liberal, snowflake, and incel because your brain is pea-sized. So I thought, why not teach you guys about how to actually formulate arguments that are decent instead of the latest buzzwords for chronically aligned people. One of the ways to know what to do is to know what definitely not to do. That is why I have made a top 5 of my favorite logical fallacies, so you can detect these when others are using them, and maybe even detect them when you are coming up with arguments. Welcome to this self-improvement video. For once, this is not about physical growth, but about mental growth, which I think is a part of self-improvement. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and tap the notification bell so you won't miss any of my content. Before we go into this, allow me to introduce to you Johnny. And Johnny is stupid because he keeps falling into logical fallacies, which are also known as false arguments. These are arguments that might sound like they're good, but they actually won't hold any merit if you think about them logically. Johnny also doesn't subscribe to my channel and like this video, so don't be a Johnny. Anyway, here's the top 5. The last bit was so manipulative.
If you lump all fat people in one group together as though they are not very different individuals, that's fatphobic. Just like lumping all black people in one group and saying I don't like black people is racist.
You don't get into flat earth to make money. I don't care about fame, I don't care about money, I just want to be right.
Little Marco, little Marco.
Donald Trump likes to sue people. He should sue whoever did that to his face.
Number 5, the false dilemma. So Johnny has this thought, right? And this thought is of course stupid because he's Johnny, and he tells everyone that it's racist to not want to be fat, and this is a real thing, I didn't even make this up. And then Sarah comes along and asks, hey Johnny, I've been struggling to lose weight and I think your argument is a bit short-sighted and I can't see how me wanting to lose fat makes me racist. In all honesty, I think you are actually trying to avoid taking responsibility for your health by calling people racist for actively not wanting to be fat. And then Johnny says, you're not with me, so you must be against me. This creates a false dilemma. The fact that Sarah doesn't agree with Johnny's argument doesn't mean she is against him. She just thinks his argument doesn't hold any sway. Number 4, the straw man. Now, the conversation continues with Johnny saying that Sarah is basically saying she is a racist for not agreeing with his argument, pardon, his stupid argument. And why is this a stupid argument? Well, because Sarah didn't say anything remotely racist, let alone calling herself racist. Johnny is just making this up. He creates a straw man in order to punch by ascribing racism to Sarah's argument. Another example would be if Johnny calls Thomas stupid for being religious, because Thomas obviously believes in a man on a cloud, even though that would be a gross characterization of God and religion, also ignoring the very complex intricacies of the role religion played in the development of mankind. and of the very concept of God and the divine, which either as a concept or as a reality has kept philosophers and theologians alike busy for at least the last 2000 years. This is a straw man because Johnny just came up with an idea of God and projected that image onto the argument Thomas made. Number 3. Avoiding the burden of proof. Johnny wants to sound smart and says that climate change isn't real because it is cold that day, so global warming must be a hoax, right? Now, Louis says, "Hey there, Johnny, why do you think climate change isn't real?" And Johnny says, "I just know it is cold today." Louis sighs and says, "Johnny, buddy, you are as sharp as a cue ball. Oh my god." Johnny doesn't back up his claim with actual facts that might support it, but just says he knows. Another example of avoiding the burden of proof would be if Johnny were to say climate change isn't real, and after being asked for proof of his hypothesis, would say, "Well, prove to me that climate change is real." What happens here is that Johnny shifted the burden of proof. Number 2, the ad hominem. An ad hominem is when someone doesn't engage with the argument but attacks the person saying said argument. So let's say this pièce lunaire called Johnny sees Sarah, who is a personal trainer, and they engage in a conversation about muscle gain, and Johnny says he has to go eat because he trained an hour ago and he's going to miss his anabolic window. Sarah says, "You do know that the anabolic window has been proven not to be as rigid as once thought, and that you can take your meal anywhere in between 4 to 6 hours after training, right? You're not killing your gains by not eating within an hour." Johnny looks Sarah dead in the eye and says, "What do you know about the male body, Sarah? You're a woman." Before we go into number 1, here's a dishonorable mention. The appeal to moderation. This is a pick because I am very guilty of this one, which make me realize that maybe I am Johnny. If you really think about it, we are all Johnny, actually, at some point. Anyway, it is saying that compromise between two positions is always correct, which just isn't true. Well, not always at least. Always appealing to moderation would be like asking an anti-Semite and a Jew if they can find middle ground between their positions. So now what? The anti-Semite now has to somewhat tone down their anti-Semitism by trying to avoid kicking the head when he beats someone up wearing a yarmulke? It's stupid. Number 1, the reductio ad Hitlerum. This sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Anyway, this is number 1 because it contains a bad word and I'm still an edgy teenager deep down. So here goes. Let's say Johnny meets with Adrian, and Adrian decided to become vegetarian. Oh, and he also owns a German Shepherd called Blondie. Johnny is as stupid as a pig's rear end and laughs at Adrian for not eating meat, and then goes on about how soy is even worse for the environment, how a vegetarian diet is simply not maintainable, as if he is a dietitian, proceeds to go out of his way to buy a hamburger from McDonald's and eat it in front of Adrian. But then he says something that is the most dense thing ever. You know who else was a vegetarian, Adrian? Hitler. 99.8% of the human population would agree that Hitler was bad, that he wasn't a good person, right? That you wouldn't let him design your moral compass. If anything, in our collective memory, he is equated with the pinnacle of evil. The reason this is a fallacy is because it invalidates someone's position by merit of the fact that Hitler did it too, so it must be bad. If that is really your way of thinking, please also stop eating, breathing and drinking, because Hitler also did all those things and now you are basically Hitler. Johnny, just shut up already, bugger off, be better. So that was my top 5 logical fallacies. Hopefully you learned something. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you won't miss any of my content. Talk to you all later.